The one that's really popular right now is like for $27,000 a year, you too can watch your child on stage for 3 minutes. Like, it's almost like people are trying to make light of it because they feel so uncomfortable saying that it's wrong.
This is Nobody Listens to Chasta, a countercultural podcast about challenging broken systems, thinking differently, and living a happier, more intentional life.
Hey everyone, hopefully you're still listening. I'm Chasta and this is Nobody Listens to Chasta, and today I am talking about one of the ideas that no one has listened to for a very long time, and that is my fear about the destruction of dance. And I fear this is happening because of so many different things, and I have a wonderful guest here to share those ideas with you. And I want to start off by saying that dance is so special to me. I think it has the power to change the world. I think it has the power to help humanity. I think it has the power to help children. So I believe in dance and I want it to succeed. And there are some things that are happening that are making that progress a little more challenging. Here today with me is my dear friend, Sarah. You know her many credits. I could say them all to you, but you've probably already heard them. Do you want to give them to everyone in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, sure. So I have known Chasta for many, many years. I am a former school counselor, certified national counselor, and I am super excited to be here again.
Also a lifelong dancer.
And a lifelong dancer, yeah.
Lifelong dance participant, dance educator, choreographer.
Yes.
You have participated in competitive dance.
I have. I grew up competing.
You have choreographed competitive dance.
Yep.
You stood by me as we exited competitive dance.
I did.
And that's something that I want people to know is that we have seen kind of all different sides of this dance space.
Yes.
And there are so many times, especially recently, that something will happen and I'll just be like, oh, dance is better than this.
Same.
Or, oh, this is not what I want parents to think dance is all about.
Yes.
And that messaging seems to be getting louder and louder, and especially sucked into our algorithms, right?
Yes, 100%.
And I think it's really important we have this conversation because so many people see this one tiny glimpse into dance, and it's not the truth of what dance can be or has the power to be.
Yes. And I think that's important too when you consider like with our kids and as we're entering parent spheres and listening to like saying, you know, my kid dances and just gauging those reactions. I think it's just so important to have this conversation.
So important. And, you know, I've been at tables where I will share what I do.
Yes.
And people will say, oh, I would never want my kid to do that.
Yep.
Or I'll say what I do and somebody will say, oh, it must be such a nice little hobby.
Yes.
Or I'll say what I do and somebody will be like, well, I would never want to do that because that's not what smart people do.
Yes.
And that's so wrong.
Yes. Actually, it's funny that you say that because just this past week, my kids were playing outside with with the neighbors, and the topic came up on what do your parents do? And my youngest son said, oh, well, my mom teaches dance. And one of the neighbors said, oh, well, she must not be very smart then.
Ugh.
And so it goes down to, you know, like, what are the kids hearing? What is the perception right now?
And why? Why is that?
And why?
Isn't
Exactly.
why something that has been around since the ancient times?
Yes.
Plato. All of my Stoic philosophers that I love,
Yes.
Aristotle, you know, they all have pieces on how key dance is to the success of humanity.
Yes.
So why have we stupefied it? Why is it, you know, why is this happening?
Yes. And it's something, you know, you're seeing the research. Recently, there was a big study that came out about how dance helps with autism and, you know, helps with the movement. And it was a very recent study that came out. So the science is saying dance helps, but the algorithms are giving an entirely different story. So
yeah, the algorithmic prisons, as
Yes.
we often talk about. And that's such a good point because there are so many neuroscience studies
Yes.
that say, like, for example, tap dancing helps with early childhood literacy.
Yes.
With depression, emotional regulation, literacy, writing, math. The scope of how dance can help the human is infinite.
Yes.
So we have to get rid of this smart people don't dance.
Yes.
That is number one. Because
Correct.
that is not true. I'm a proud nerd.
Yes.
And there are so
I
many
am as well.
and there are so many dancers that are really proud nerds.
Yes.
And I encourage, if you dance and you're academic and you love thinking and having conversations, like, be proud of that.
Yes.
And where do you think that stereotype, like, where's it from?
So I think a lot of it is coming from what the public sees dance is. And I think, you know, a lot of this came back to when Dance Moms aired.
I was about to say there is a TV show that a lot of this can be traced back to.
That has changed the perception of dance. And then just right now, the social media. So you see so much of like, if you want to be a serious dancer, you have to drop out of school. You have to homeschool. You have to travel to all these conventions, all these competitions. And I think that that's getting correlated with the devaluation of academics and the fact that dance is essentially, you're not going to get a good education if you're committing to dance.
And that's so fascinating.
Yes.
Because as we know, when you start reading a lot of the scholarly research, a lot of the academic studies that are happening surrounding dance, there's so much insight to gain.
So much, yes.
When dance is leveraged appropriately.
Yes.
But I think this kind of middle ground is that we're not using it to its fullest potential.
Correct.
Or some places may be saying that they are, but aren't actually upholding those standards.
Yes.
And so I wanted to backtrack it a little to Dance Moms, which I watched it when it first came out. Did you?
I did.
Because we didn't really know better.
No.
Right?
I mean, I drove in college to watch a live filming. Like, yeah, it was what it was.
Yeah. And, you know, it was kind of that whole series of like the early days of So You Think You Can Dance.
Yep.
And then came Dance Moms. And we had the studio at that time, and you were there, and we were competing, and there was a shift.
Yes.
There was an undoubtable shift.
Absolutely.
Of this, let's not be a unit together, but let's fracture.
Yes.
Let's divide. Let's be very ego-driven.
Yes.
And that was challenging to watch.
It was.
And we also had to pinpoint what was the problem. Like, we were seeing the symptoms, but we had to get to what was the problem of why was this happening.
Yes.
And what did we trace it to?
What did we trace it to?
We traced it to the dance competitions.
Yeah.
And the environment that it was cultivating. And Trash the Trophies, the book that I wrote it, pre-2020. It came out in 2020. That's now been over half a decade.
Right.
I thought there weren't going to be competitions after the pandemic. So I thought maybe I just wasted writing the whole thing. But instead, the fascinating thing is the competitions and the problems that they seem to create have only intensified and revved up. Would you agree?
Yes. And I also sort of have a theory for that too. So I'm so glad that you said that.
Please.
Because I think a lot of the pandemic showed that, studios were switching to online. And people were taking classes online. And I think that played a big part in people saying, oh, we don't need to train at our studios. We can train with these online studios and conservatories and go to competitions and conventions independently. And I think that has really upped the competition game, I would say.
Yeah, the competitive sphere.
Yeah.
The fascinating thing is so many people know that this is not the way. Even people inside the machine.
Yes.
Know that this is not the best pathway for what dance can produce. And interestingly enough, there are so many facets of the competitive experience that do not match the actual industry itself.
Yes.
Right? Like there was a social media post that was really popular the other week that was talking about how are there 10 people in a top 3?
Yep. Yeah. And that's just not how life works.
Because if you're casting for 3 parts, you're not going to cast 10 people for 3 parts.
Right.
Like that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I think, one of the problems is this idea that the competitions promote of that it's basically you're paying to it's a pay to play.
It is.
To promote self-worth.
Yes.
Something that shouldn't be extrinsically motivated, that should be intrinsically motivated.
Correct.
But how do you gauge that self-worth? Because the adjudications have become so extreme and expanded.
So insane.
There's the adjudications. Then beyond the adjudications, there's the levels.
Yes.
And then beyond the levels, there's the ages, where it sometimes goes down to half an age.
Correct.
Then there's the point scale. There's the lack of standardization. Mm-hmm. There's the lack of regulation. So for parents, I think they're looking for something tactile. Like when you go out on the soccer field, you know what's happening.
Right.
When they step into a dance competition, they want to know what's happening. But the reality is they cannot know.
Exactly.
Even people that experienced it for years, there were times when we were like, what does this mean?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I was growing up competing, it was like bronze, silver, gold. Like those were your adjudication options. And now, and like that wasn't that long ago. Like I am a lot older, but it was not that long ago.
It wasn't like 80 years ago.
No, it was not 80 years ago. And now it's like, you get like a triple sprinkle heart purple diamond. Like it's crazy. You just don't know what these things
Crystal.
mean. Yes.
Double diamond.
Yes.
Titanium.
Yes. And they can all sound the same, but they all mean different things based off of where you are.
Yeah. And also what level you're in. And also if you're in the 7.5-year-old jazz dance to a high energy song category.
Yes.
Where you may be the only one.
Right.
And then you're still getting titanium blitz, but are you actually achieving?
Right.
It's a sense false of accomplishment.
Yes.
Because what is the accomplishment?
Yes.
The accomplishment is what performance offers the child.
Right.
Which is incredible.
Yes. And this brings me, I actually brought some notes today.
All right. Sarah is the data queen. So she's here to drop the data. Data drop.
Love some data. So I was actually looking at a competition dance moms forum, and someone asked, like, why do you compete? So I thought it would be kind of fun to just sort of go through some of these things and say, like, do we need competition to actually achieve this? So the most reported one that I saw was, my child loves to perform.
Mm-hmm. You don't need competition.
You can
perform in so many different places and spaces.
Yes. Life lessons, including perseverance in school, the fact that life goes on if you make a mistake, and that you can be happy for your friends if they achieve something that you don't.
Those are all things you can get through performance without competition.
Yeah. I mean, even rehearsal, arguably.
Process over product.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
It is an easier transition to college if you're on a dance team with people who share a love of dance.
I'm not sure I'm quite following that. Because I do think this gap between competitive dance and where do you go above and beyond is interesting.
Yes.
Maybe that's a whole other.
I think that might be a whole other. Yes.
Okay.
This one I thought was really interesting, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this. So they provide parent education at competitions that highlight the why, including confidence, speaking up, teamwork, winning and losing gracefully, making new friends, and learning new tasks quickly.
Yeah. But is it the competition that teaches that, or is it the dance education that teaches that?
Right. And I thought it was interesting that competitions that you're paying to go to are having staff stand up there saying why their competitions are great.
Right. Because this is a weekend experience.
Correct.
Versus a year-long and beyond training program.
Yes. All right. This one, I know that you're going to have a reaction to this one. So
I'm ready.
Better training is for the competition kids.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We love that one.
We love that one.
Only good dancers compete, just like all dancers are not smart.
Yes.
This is something we have to break down.
Yes.
We have to normalize not participating in dance competitions as a successful pathway for dance, for life, for everything.
Yes. Agreed.
Why is there this resistance to it?
Well, let me tell you.
Is it propaganda?
So in that same thread, interestingly enough, someone commented and said, I am a competition judge, and quote, every working dancer I know competed as a kid. So I think it's interesting that there is this association with you have to compete in order to be successful within the dance industry. And that is what is leading to better training. I don't know. I feel like dance education is good dance education.
Yeah.
And whether you want to dance 1 hour a week or 15 hours a week, the training that you receive should be good quality training.
Correct. Yes. And with that idea, that's why we don't have recreational and competitive at the studios.
Yes.
We have good training.
Yes.
And there is, the ROI of the training. Mm-hmm. Like, what are your goals?
Yep.
Right? If you have a goal to be a rockette and you're 15, 1 hour of training a week may not get you to that goal.
Correct.
So there is this level of like input and output when you're considering what's happening.
Yes.
But so often, and in this competitive space, there will be a group and maybe they learn one single dance for the whole year.
Yep.
And they compete that. And it's like, for me, what are the learning outcomes?
Right. And why? Like,
what's the why?
Yeah.
That's, when we did this big overhaul at the studio, we landed on 4 values, right? Technique, performance, community, and character. And everything we do has to tie into those 4 things.
Yep.
And so I feel like it has created a heightened awareness of intentionality of like, why are we doing this? So that's what I always encourage people to ask the questions. And some of the things you were talking about with that feedback made me think of this feedback loop that we kind of witnessed when we were working on the Trash the Trophies white papers.
Yep.
So this was 2023. They're still available to download if you're interested in reading about them, to our listeners, if you're still listening. They're out there. But, one of the fascinating things in the interviews we were doing at that time is dancers that had left the competitive dance experience said that they wish they had never competed.
Yep.
but they didn't want to tell their parents because they knew how much money their parents were spending.
Yep.
And they didn't want to disappoint them. They didn't want to tell their dance teachers because they didn't want to disappoint their dance teachers or their studio owners.
Yes.
The parents were saying they wish they had never competed because they were spending so much money, but they felt like it was something that their child loved.
Yes.
And they wanted to support their child to the fullest of their abilities.
Yes.
Like,
And they felt there was no other option. That was a big one
so
too.
many of these choices are made out of love for the child.
Yes.
And then you had the studio owners who were all saying, I wish we could not do dance competitions, but I feel like I would lose my clients if we didn't.
Yep.
So you have a community where everybody's feeling like maybe this is something I don't want to do.
Right.
But they feel locked,
Yes.
trapped.
Yes.
Because there is this level of, this is a very negative term, and I'm not sure it's the right one, but it almost feels like the competitions are like a parasite on the dance studio because they rely on the dance studio to succeed.
Yes.
But when something goes wrong at a dance competition, is it the dance competition that's blamed or is it the dance studio?
Right. And it's usually the dance studio.
From our experience,
Yes.
it is usually the dance studio.
Yep.
And it puts the dance studio in a very helpless position.
It does.
Because you are relying on a third party that you have no control over whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very scary when you're running a business.
Yes.
I can tell you there are lots of big businesses in this world whose success is not reliant on a third party that they have no control over. Mm-hmm. So if you are a dance studio and you are solely reliant on the success of dance competitions to be viable, I would look for other ways.
Yep, for sure.
So that's one. So what I'm hearing is we're feeling like dance competitions are contributing to the destruction of dance.
Yes.
They're chipping away at the integrity.
Yes.
And it's almost, I feel like when they first emerged, as we were discussing, it was much simpler.
Yes.
What they have become is a monolith.
Yes, it is.
A multi-billion-dollar industry.
Mm-hmm.
And many dance studios are not multi-billion-dollar businesses.
No.
I would argue.
And when you look at the tuition or what people are spending in tuition, because I also looked at that as well, I would say a majority of these insane numbers are going towards competitions and not back to the studio.
Yes. Because the competitions require the studio serve as the middle person between the parent and the competition, which also takes accountability away from the competition.
Correct.
And, we can talk about all of the little details of the pain points, which a lot are in Trash the Trophies and a lot are still true to this day, if not worse.
If not worse.
If not worse. Yes. I feel like I could do an updated edition that really leaned into a lot of the things that we've heard. But it's true. And, one of the decisions we stepped away as we were looking at these invoices, we didn't even have children at the time, but we were like, if we had children, we would not feel comfortable spending this dollar amount, for this return.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And it's then you're factoring traveling and hotels, and it's the amount of money that could be used on training and supporting local studios that's going out is actually, I would say, majorly contributing to the destruction of dance.
Yeah. And this perception.
Yes.
Because going to a dance competition every weekend, if you are resume stacking, which we've discussed in previous episodes,
we have.
Dance competition adjudications are not stacking your resume.
No.
Because what does it mean? That's my thing. It's like, what does it mean?
Right.
Anyone can pay to play to do this.
Yes.
Anyone can actually buy a trophy at the competition.
Yes, they can.
You don't even have to do a dance and earn it.
Right.
You or me could walk in and purchase one at the merch table.
Yep.
One of the things that really jacked me up before we left competition was the kindness award emerging. Mm-hmm. Because I was like, why do we have to award kindness?
Right.
Because, the intent was people would be nicer to each other.
Yeah.
But no, the world is not going to get a trophy in the morning to wake up and be nice.
And be kind.
We should be kind intrinsically, not because a dance competition is giving us a trophy for being kind.
Yes. And I mean, it's also arguably a problem that people were being so unkind that they had to do a kindness award.
Right. That's a great point. Mm-hmm. So we know what this looks like in the room.
Yes.
And you have the dance competition piece. Now, the dance competition piece has bebopped its way into digital reality. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge perception point, right? In the destruction.
Yes.
Because what are people seeing on social media? I know you're always sending me these things and you're like, here's another one. Here's another one.
Yes. The one that's really popular right now is like for $27,000 a year, you too can watch your child on stage for 3 minutes. Like, it's almost like people are trying to make light of it because they feel so uncomfortable saying that it's wrong. Which I think is really interesting.
Does your organization ever feel stuck doing things the way they've always been done, even when everyone knows the system is broken? That's exactly the kind of problem I love helping people solve. Through my corporate creativity and leadership workshops, I work with teams and organizations to rethink culture, leadership, and productivity in ways that actually move the needle. These sessions are interactive, honest, and designed to spark real change. If that sounds like something your organization needs, you can learn more at chastahamilton.com. I want there to be more education about the actual value of dance.
Yes.
Because it's not those 3 minutes on stage.
It's not.
Right? Like, that's not what it is.
Which is interesting because when people are saying why they compete, they're not saying it's for the 3 minutes on stage. They're saying it's for the experience, for all of these things. So I guess it's really, what can we do as an industry to stand together and say, this is not what you need. Like, we can come together to provide these experiences in a way that's better. And we do such a great job at Stage Door doing it. But then I knew there's a whole population of people that think that what we're doing isn't what you're supposed to do to be successful.
Yeah, that's true, because it hasn't been normalized.
Right.
And that's what I'll always say is, it's okay. It's okay to do things differently. It's okay to try something that others haven't done.
Yes.
And, and I think back to the last few years, like post-pandemic for our students, like how many times they've been in New York, performing at Carnegie Hall, performing at the Grand Ole Opry, performing in Rome, Italy, going to perform on a cruise this summer. Those experiences, they're priceless. They are priceless experiences. Now, we still have an incredible standard of excellence in place.
Yes.
And it's so important. And because of that standard, we're able to create genuine artistic pieces that aren't modeled for the pay-to-play competitive space. Right.
And honestly, like, our families are paying less for these experiences than you would for a 3-minute dance at a competition. And you're getting 30 minutes of stage time on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Like, I mean, it's just the value.
Right. And it's what is prioritized.
Yes.
And I think there are so many people itching and wanting to help the solution. There are so many people, this year especially, I'm seeing it over and over, of when is there going to be accountability for inappropriate music, inappropriate costuming, inappropriate choreography. The issue, and I think this is why there's like a frustration, is the pendulum has not swung to correct itself in any way whatsoever. Instead, it's become even more deregulated. Well, because it's never been regulated, so even more unregulated, I guess.
Yes. Well, you have these competition convention owners saying, this is what you need to do to be successful. Here's the opportunities we provide. Here are all of our successful alumni. This is what you need to do. And I think that those voices are louder than, what we are currently getting from local studios.
Well, I've even seen some of the longtime convention owners posting videos saying that the trophies don't matter.
Yes.
So if the trophies don't matter, you don't really need to compete. That's what they're saying, even though they're providing a competition. But they themselves are also saying you can succeed without trophies. That is a huge conversation point right now.
Yes.
But they're also not providing accountability on the inappropriateness, which is now trickling into the studios and the parents. And I do believe that's another full circle accountability opportunity. Everyone needs to say, this should be family friendly.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. But I think that has to come from literally everyone. Because I think the other thing that we're seeing now is that if you don't agree with the choreography or what you're getting at the studio, or you don't think that you're being trained to win, for lack of better terms, people are just hiring choreographers to choreograph through Zoom to go compete independently.
Right.
And so there's a way to get what you want, and there are people who will provide exactly what you want. And I think that that's also part of the problem.
That kind of made me think about these celebrity mentorships.
Oh, yes.
That are now in existence that didn't used to exist in the dance space. What are your thoughts on those? Maybe just describe what they are if people don't know what they are.
So,
I actually just became aware of them pretty recently.
Yeah. So, and I don't think it's just in dance. I think it's actually pushing into extracurriculars too. But there are services that will match you with either really well-known people in your industry or people who have been very successful in your industry, and you can pay to have them mentor your child.
Pay really high amounts.
Very, very high amounts. Yes.
Like some of the monthly fees that I was noticing in the dance space would match multiple months of tuition of like multi-hour a week training in a studio.
Yep.
So that's another thing, is just because it's digitally being labeled as fun or cool, or this person has a lot of views or likes. Views and likes do not equate to training.
Right.
And I think that's really important.
I think it is too.
Because have you felt the shift in the industry? Arguably, maybe another example of the destruction of wanting the dance to be about, this is almost like dance on stage for a trophy, but dance to be a content clip.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in the classrooms too, like in the studios, we're dancing combos to go viral.
That's been a big conversation point with a lot of studios in New York and LA of what is the place of cameras in the classroom?
Yep.
Like you used to, could go to the city to take some classes, and maybe you would push yourself outside of your style because you wanted to be challenged and you wanted to grow. But now that becomes a question of, well, is it going to be at the expense of my reputation because I'm going to be seen in this video not looking at my performance best?
Right.
But it's really just a clip that is being generated for content for someone else's virtual validation and gain.
Right. Yeah. And I think, it's also pushing into like UC studios doing these certain trends to go viral within rehearsal. So like the one that I've seen recently is the one with the phones and the hammers and, making light about like, this is how we get our teens to listen to us. And it's just like, is that shining a positive light on the dance space?
Right. Or is it almost seeming like a mockery?
Right.
And virality is not branding.
Right.
So I always say, like, what is the goal of being viral? If the virality isn't true to your voice, your brand voice, what's actually happening in your walls, I think when people go to a page and space, what they see should be what they experience.
Yep.
So some of these trends, and over the years, I've been presented, even from our students, sometimes will advocate and say, hey, could we do this?
Yep.
And a lot of times I'll say, I'm just not really sure that's in line with what we want to represent as a brand.
Yeah.
Now, the downside is there is less virality.
But then again, do you want to attract clients because you're going viral or because they do genuinely want to dance and match your values as a studio?
Right. And I think that alignment is incredibly important too.
Yep.
And I think just that awareness of alignment of people, maybe, the interesting thing is because of where I am in this dance space is I'll see things from different states, different countries around the world. And just because one person does a trend, oftentimes it will be followed by so many others.
Yep.
Same with these copy and paste templates that a lot of people buy.
Yes.
Sometimes one place will post it and then you'll see 30 to 40 other studios with the same thing.
In the same week.
Yeah, in the same week,
Yeah.
sometimes in the same day. And that's not differentiation.
Right.
That's not having a brand and a place for children to learn and grow that's unique to your brand voice.
Correct.
Like you will never see, say, Walmart and Target having the same template for their marketing.
Yep.
So I think that's something that has also, maybe we're not as aware, but I have no doubt that it has contributed to the destruction because we're losing unique voices. It's becoming very brand standardized.
Yep.
And I think there's some people that just don't even know who they are as a brand.
Right. Well, you're losing the art.
You're losing the art.
Yep.
And you're also losing the business sense as well.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, you're just checking so many boxes. I'll do competitions. I'll do the viral trend. I'll post the copy and paste template. But then you're not really running a vision and a brand and something that's unique. You're just doing it because everyone else is doing it. And that's groupthink. And groupthink is very toxic.
Yes.
So going on with that social media piece, because I think that's really important.
Yep.
I'm thinking back to a time where we had some students that really wanted to do a mic'd up during class. And that's trendy and that's cool, right?
Yep.
But that's not who we want to be as like a classroom experience. It was a great learning opportunity for everyone to have the conversation of this is a distraction to learning.
Right.
Because how can you actually be focused on your technical development and progress if you're worried about content creation at the same time?
Yep. Well, and I think also specifically with the mic'd up too, like I know it's supposed to be funny and it's supposed to be like your inside thoughts of what's going through your head in dance class. But like if you're on the outside and you're looking to train somewhere, is that the perception that you want of like how these dancers act in class?
That's also true. It's a great point.
Yeah.
So it is almost a mockery.
Yeah.
And dance has always had an uphill battle to climb in terms of being taken seriously.
Yes.
Before dance moms, before dance competitions, before mic'd up, like before any of this, right? And I think all of these pieces are just making it even more difficult.
Yes.
So what can we do? Like I know that we talk about this all the time of like, how can we, obviously we are laser focused in our institution about how can we listen, how can we learn, how can we do when we get things wrong, how can we be better. But how can we get others to join in that and feel comfortable?
So I think a lot of it comes down to education, right? So educating parents, educating studio owners, people who are in maybe studying dance with the ambition to open a dance studio or become a dance educator. I think we have to start there with what is dance? Why are we dancing? And what are your options?
And when you're thinking about this destruction of dance, I think it's important to think about the disconnect between K-12 dance, like in the education system, private studio education, collegiate university education, and just the general working industry, commercial dance, because there's a lot of discrepancy there. And I think there needs to be a lot more conversation, because if you get in a room, with people from a lot of the higher ed institutions, they're confused about why competitions have become so prevalent.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's creating conformity. It's very homogenized.
Right.
It's standardizing an industry that's supposed to be rooted in unique creative development.
Yes. And body movement, like just moving your body and, expression through the art form, I think is really getting lost. And I know from when we've talked with different college professors, something that they're seeing is that these kids will come in from the competitive dance industry loving dance because that's all they've known. That's been their life. It's
their identity.
Dance. Yeah, they love being on the stage. They've grown to love dance, which is great. We want more people to love dance.
We want everyone to love dance.
But then they get into the college environment and, they might declare that they're a dance major and it's completely different. It's unlike anything they can't
adapt is what the professors will say.
Yes.
They're so stuck in what they've been taught to know as the reality that they can adapt to the more fluid pedagogy that you see in the collegiate space.
So, you might have kids out there who are, busting out quads, gorgeous quads, really clean technical dances.
That's a quadruple pirouette for anyone that may not. They're not just busting out their quad body part.
Their quad muscles, 4 turns in a row. And they get into the college dance space having to take like Dance 101, thinking that they're just going to exceed and excel. And in reality, it's completely different. It's a different pedagogy.
Shocked.
They're shocked. It's not
ill-prepared
that they feel comfortable with. They're out of their comfort zone.
And do you remember what some of those conversations, what we've learned is a lot of times the professors will say they quit.
Yeah.
They will quit versus sticking with it and trying.
Yep.
So that argument that we're doing this for resilience is now 1 year out disproving itself.
Yes.
And all of those years of practicing resilience have not risen to the occasion.
Right.
And that's concerning.
It is.
And, Sarah's been with me in a lot of these spaces where I'll present on this topic. And so this is truly maybe one of the penultimate things that nobody listens to me about. Or there's always the counter arguments are present. Yeah. And I think those are important, right? Because I want to understand why this is still not changing.
Right.
And when we get involved in this dialogue where I really am trying to listen and learn and understand, it always seems to go back to children need a place to perform. There are so many places to perform.
There are so many places to perform.
You can perform anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere, anytime, any place.
Anybody.
Anybody, yes. And I think that's where we get locked in. And, the funny thing about this is another counter argument is often, well, we like performing in theaters. Well, you can produce a show in a theater at any time. And ironically, a lot of these competitions are moving away from theaters.
Yeah.
And into just hotels or fairgrounds or wherever they can find a flex space.
Yes. And I also want to say too, with that argument is, well, we want to dance like against other people. We want to see other studios dance. And there are so many levels and categories and different variations of competitions that you're seeing a lot of studios now just competing against themselves.
Yeah.
So you're paying $175 per routine to see your own studio's showcase,
Right.
essentially.
Right. Yes. It's so true. And that's what I love about how we went to the benefit show model.
Yes.
Like, it's so nice to have a professionally produced show just for our, performance companies. And I do think that performance experience is important.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say that it's not, but is it necessary for a trophy? Is it necessary if you're showing up and you're 80% of the routines that day?
Right.
Like, what in community and dance is important. Absolutely. But you can have community and dance without competition.
Absolutely.
And you see that community. You see it in like the Broadway space, right? When people are showing up for auditions, not everybody's going to get the part.
Right.
That's a form of competition.
Yep.
But it's not this pay to play that just feels uncomfortable.
Yes,
A little icky.
it does.
It's also becoming, and I know this is going to be a future conversation point, but it's consolidating.
Yes, it is.
And it would be remiss not to mention that.
Yes.
Because as consolidation happens, and we're really going to get into this in the future, you're going to see prices escalating.
Yep.
And you're going to see the market shift.
Yep.
So in addition to this destruction, we also have some trends happening that are concerning.
They are.
And we're going to get to those, not today, but in the future. So, I'm just thinking back, and I'm wondering, like, when we left competition 10 years ago, like, what were you thinking?
When we left?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be the first to say that I was hesitant about it because that's all I knew.
Well, and it was your full-time job.
It was also my full-time job, yes.
Sarah was our competition team
I was
director.
the competition team director. But it was also like I grew up very much in a competitive studio if you want to be successful, you need to compete. I knew from being the competition director that if, that's what our parents wanted. So I was hesitant. But once you dive into the whys and what the benefits are, it makes sense.
And it really does just take pulling back the layers a little,
Yes.
thinking through it, thinking creatively. I always think back. Well, there's 2 times that I think back to when I really feel as though I was at my most tortured at a competition. One, as a studio owner, because I also judged for a while too. But, we were at this one, and we had started at 6 a.m. We finished around 12 a.m. That's a long day for a Saturday.
Day. Yep.
I remember having my arms out and like 25 trophies and medals, right? Because everyone else had gone home.
Yep.
So we were left there with a sprinkling of other people. And I remember one of our families very genuinely and organically wanted to take a photo. And I could barely even hold my eyes open.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like, parents do want to be proud. They do want to see growth. And in that moment, I was like, I'm about to fall on the floor. This can't be the best way for this.
Right.
And then time went forward that night, and we had to be back there at 6 a.m.
Yes.
So we were at our houses for 5 hours before we were back for another 12-hour day.
Yep.
And then I think about another time at another one. And at this one, I had pink eye. Do you remember?
Maybe.
Well, I had pink eye. I was able to be on about, but I had my glasses on and, and it was another one of these like 18-hour days. And, we were sitting there at 11 p.m. and it was the hug your dancer.
Oh, yep. I do remember this.
Come to the stage and hug your dancer. And like, that's awkward.
It is
right?
awkward.
And it's just like, why are we trying to force something that already exists organically?
Right.
Like, why are we commercializing to this extent something that can be produced in a very organic, happy, joyful, meaningful, lifelong lasting way?
Right.
That is going to not have memories of my crusty eye and glasses hugging the dancer at midnight.
Right.
Like, that's what I remember from that day.
Yeah.
Do you have
that
any?
might be what the dancer remembers too, honestly.
What do you have any memories from our days?
I mean, I just remember, feeling like my nervous system was being chased by a bear.
Yeah.
Sitting through these awards.
For me, it was the Monday after.
Yeah. Well, because that's when the emails
Do you remember
through.
what we used to do
with
Mondays?
What did we used to do? Because clearly I blocked it out. So.
Well, we always knew it was coming, right?
Yeah.
So
Inevitably.
Back then, there was a thing called Moe's Mondays at Moe's Southwest Grill.
Yep.
And you could get your burrito for like $5.99.
Yep.
And we would go to Moe's Monday. We didn't have our email and stuff wasn't quite as accessible.
Correct.
So we'd eat our burrito and then we go back to the studio and brace ourselves for whatever was coming.
If it didn't already come in Sunday on the car ride home.
Yes. And the sad thing is, it was parents advocating for their child, which we fully support and tell everyone to do. They're advocating for their child, but we were helpless. Mm-hmm. That was the hard thing.
Yep.
And it was well, then why did you endorse this experience?
Right.
If I couldn't bring my outside food into the convention center, why did we go here?
Yep.
And it's like, I understand your frustration as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. This is where I think we need to get, and this is the phrase, human-centered design.
Yes.
Are we creating dance experiences that are human-centered? Or are they something else centered? Mm-hmm. I think that may be the question.
It might be.
Is that the walk-away question today?
It might be.
Are we creating dance experiences that are human-centered? And will human-centered dance experiences help with building this perception back up? Mm-hmm. So that instead of this destruction that we're seeing, we're going to see a renaissance and excitement of everyone dancing everywhere.
Yeah.
Is it possible?
I hope so.
I mean, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Right? All right. Well, thank you so much for being on today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
If you listened this far, we're so glad that you did. Let's get out there and dance. Dance in a human-centered design way. Let's make people know that dance matters, that it deserves to be here, and that smart people dance too. Thank you for being here. Subscribe, keep following us. And if you have had your own competitive dance experience, please reach out. I've heard every story in the book, and I would love to hear yours too. Because unlike a lot of people that don't listen to me, I do listen to you.
Thanks for listening to Nobody Listens to Chasta. If today's conversation made you think differently, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. To learn more about Chasta Hamilton, her books, speaking, and the work of Stage Door Dance Productions and Girls Geared for Greatness, visit the links in the show notes. And remember, even if nobody else listens, you do.